Welcome in, folks. Gonalchish, Hatia Ade to all the students. Today is week 6, day 3 of our class. Kejin Yagiya, Tikdesi, Jin Katka, Dachadushuya Wahi. Exciting day today. Our guest is Jeff Lear, so we're continuing our Introduction to Dialogue series every Friday. Last week we had Skaidu of Lingit Class talk about inland Lingit, and this week Jeff Lear Weha has agreed to come and share his work on the southern dialects of Tongass dialect, also called Tontaquan, as well as the Hinya dialect of Klawak. So Jeff Lear he has a PhD, he works as a linguist for Sealaska Heritage Institute. He has dedicated his life to doing a lot of important documentation of the Tlingit language, and he currently works to turn that material into language learning resources for learners like ourselves. He's a personal mentor to me when I was a summer intern at Sealaska Heritage Institute. A lot of what I've learned about transcription and translation of Tlingit, I learned from Jeff. So without taking up too much more of your time, Weha, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, I gather Anna did send out some materials for you to look at. I just would like to get an idea of how many of you were able to read through the introduction to the Tongass texts, because that has a lot of the important information that, you know, the crucial stuff that we're going to find when we're going to be looking at. Could you pull up slide 1 for the first? The one having to do with that one, yeah. Okay, this sort of lays out the correspondences between the vowels in Tongass on the left, Sanya, Henya on the right, I'm in the middle, and Northern on the right. Okay, so if Tongass doesn't have tones per se, the Tongass, as you'll hear, it just doesn't really have tones. It has what we call a stigmatic system. So, for example, it's got a short vowel, which is pronounced relatively high in pitch. It's got a lengthened vowel, that's the VV with the raised dot. That's it's long and sustained. It doesn't group. It's got a glottalized vowel, that's VV apostrophe, that's clipped. So for example, the word for man in Tongass Tlingit is ka, with a glottal stop at the end. And then there's the VV with the grav accent, the bottom row. That's what we call the fading vowel. So just to take a few examples, with the short vowel, chat, I, chat, it could occur in chat, lan, wah, chat, lan, waha. It's just long. And then chat is salmon with the glottalized vowel, and chat is root with the fading vowel. Now, outside of Tongass and Southern Tlingit, the short vowel shows up as high, as you can see there. The lengthened vowel of Tongass shows up as high long, except before a sonorant, in which case it's always falling. So if the stem ends in N, W, Y, it always falls. The glottalized vowel shows up as a falling vowel. So what shows up in Tongass as ka, man, so that shows up as ka with falling tone in Sanya Henya. And then the tonga's fading stigma, fading vowel shows up as long, low in Sanya Henya. And then in Northern Tlingit, the long high and the long falling, well, there's no long falling. So long falling just becomes long high. So you get this system that you see here. If a short vowel is stressed, it gets high tone. If it's unstressed, it stays low. If the vowel was either lengthened or glottalized in Tongass, it's long high. Or if the stigma was fading in Tongass, then it's long low. So that's what we're talking about with figure 1. Let's go to the next figure. Okay, so here's just some examples. So in Tongass, ta, he's sleeping, ta in Sanya Henya, ta in Northern. They all sound the same, except when you say a sleeping man, for example, or a sleeping person, you say taka. The ta isn't stressed, so it's low tone. And then lake sounds the same in all of Tlingit. Heen and Tongass is lengthened, but in Sanya Henya it's falling because of it's got a final N on the syllable. And then ka, like I was saying, becomes ka in Sanya Henya, but ka, high tone, long high in Northern Tlingit. And Shah, mountain, Shah in Sanya Henya, and Shah in Northern Tlingit. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, and first of all, let's see if there's any questions on this.
Any questions from students so far about what Weha shared with the examples?
Okay, let's go on to the next one because we're trying to pack a whole lot into a short time.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some examples. I'm not gonna, okay, here's some examples of where well, tell you the truth, they don't seem to be used, they don't seem to be what I'm talking about. This isn't really dropping of short vowels. This has to do with tone. So let's go to the next one.
Okay, I did like this table for your example with Wutwajak.
Yeah, so in Northern Tlingit you get Wutwajak, it was killed, versus Wutwajak, we killed it. Okay, but if you look at the Tongass, Wutwajak, it was killed, versus Wutwajak with the aspirated T, we killed it. And if in Sanya, Wutwajak, same thing with a D, and versus Wutwajak with a T. But in Henya, it's a little different. What they do is, if the prefix is tu, it becomes low toned, and then if the u drops out, the low tone goes on to the next syllable. So Wutwajak becomes Wutwajak, as opposed to Wutwajak, it was killed. So the tonal difference is what, the tone is what takes over in Henya. Okay, that's what tells you the difference between we and the fourth person, first person plural and fourth person subject pronouns. Okay, let's go on.
So these are the resources we have for Dahangas.
So let's open the text and play the sound file for.
Okay.
And I'll just talk about some of the droppings of short vowels as we go along, because somehow that didn't make it in here.
Okay, I'll hit play and then I'll scroll along as we listen. This is Frank Williams telling the story of Kanu Dot Shketnik.
His name is Keith Wayne.
Keith Wayne. Okay, here we go.
Very famous
If
name.
there's going to be any,
Oh, sorry, were you adding something,
Oh,
Jeff?
it's a famous name, that's all.
Okay.
any interference from the radio station if I leave it unplugged. And then I'm going to plug it in. Okay, now it's plugged into the power supply, and I'm going to see if the radio comes in on this one. Okay.
This is not the recording.
There's just a short where they're connecting it, and then he does continue on in this record. It just takes a couple seconds.
Okay. No.
Ye kuat skasnik. Techin kautonik ye atu ko. Hacha te had no. No, sas ayak kwanik. Achin kautonik ye takus kasnik. Tan ta kwan khat. Te kweti gati khat. Ya gao. Toss guk just start at Kahunik, quat. You kuna kwan who tas whiskas a jan as to who ye ha tea.
By the way, let's stop right there.
To who.
You stop it.
God.
Okay.
Let's play that line 20 and listen to all the fading vowels in a row there. Astuhu, ye, ha, wu, ti. Like that. Listen to it again.
Okay. So line 20. All right. I'm going to do my best to just go back in time. Probably just a few seconds. Okay, let's see where this takes us.
Who ye ha wu ti.
I need to go back a little farther. Here we go. All right, here we go.
You kuna kwan who tas whiskas a jan as to who ye ha wu ti.
Yeah. You hear that real well? The fading vowel?
I do.
Astuhu, ye, ha, wu, ti. Kind of like, you see. Yeah. By the way, this fading vowel, it may seem real strange, but what's interesting is the Tsimshian right next door, the coastal Tsimshian, also have a distinction between a sustained long vowel and a fading vowel. And I don't think this is any coincidence. So like, for example, the word for fireweed in coastal Tsimshian is hash, which has a sustained long vowel. But the word for dog is hatch, which is very much like the fading vowel. It is the same acoustic quality as the fading vowel in Tongass. Anyway, okay.
And so the fading vowel, as you mentioned, it's noted by this grav symbol.
Grav accent, the grav mark, yeah.
Okay, I want to play it for the students again, just because it's so musical and so unique. I'm going to play it one more time. Okay. Okay, here we go. And then I'll just continue the recording.
You kuna kwan who tas whiskas a jan as to who ye ha wu ti. A kuchati as to who. God ko Canada ko. To Chanut was
Okay, let's stop right now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's go back up to see this. Okay, first of all, I want to point out a couple things about his speech. First of all, you notice those underlined Y's. Nowadays, we're using a double dotted Y with a diaresis on top for that sound. And it's an old sound that used to be everywhere in Tlingit, and now it's just gone out of use everywhere. So, for example, you konawa kwan, konawa. Let's go down to line 22. Diladach ku'u. Diladach la. It's not diyadach, it's diladach ku'u. Okay, so there's that special la sound that is characteristic of this dialect. They have it. By the time I started working there, none of the northern Tlingit speakers that I worked with had that sound anymore. It was obsolete in northern Tlingit, or almost obsolete. Okay, the second thing I want you to notice is this business about dropping of short vowels. So look at line 14 at the top here. Yakao, twa, sku. Okay, notice that corresponds to tuwa, siku in northern Tlingit. So wa becomes twa, and sigu becomes sku, twa, sku. So the U, short U drops in tua, and the short I drops in sigu. Okay, and look in the line 18. Ha, hu, tas, wuch, guts. In northern Tlingit, that would be ha, hu, tas, wuch, guts. So the classifier just becomes. So this is something that really complicates Southern Tlingit, but if you speak Northern Tlingit, it's not a big deal. Your ears just adjust. But if you're looking at it from the point of language acquisition, it's tricky because all of a sudden now your she classifier doesn't have an I, and then look down in 21. Now in Northern Tlingit, that would be so the Z classifier loses the I.
Oh.
DZ, but at the end of a syllable, DZ is written TS. Automatic. At the end of a syllable, you never write a plain stop. You always write an aspirated stop, even though it's really a plain stop. Here's the bottom line too. So again, the dua, the U of dua sak just gets dropped out again.
Wow.
Okay, so let's go on to the next page and play just a little more, and you can hear a little more of this fun stuff.
Okay. This is so cool. Okay, let me get on the recording. I'm going to back it up just a little bit.
Radachku, Canadachku, to Chanut wasag. Agus Kasnik, Han, Kauden, Kak, now escape you wasag. Who's Han, Kausnik, Yanik, Yan, out to Tich, Takwan, you wasag. You wasag, you Takwan. Kachit wuti khana kausni akhaka asu gokhani squat the kuyahi tagwan.
Okay, let's stop right there.
Okay.
Sing it.
Just for a sec.
Yeah.
Okay. Han a coat neek again. See, Han a coat neek in Northern Tlingit. So the I of the classifier she again drops out. But notice if the classifier sla, it stays sla. It's only the short vowels I and U that drop out. And then on the next line, This is a specifically Southern or Tongass word for to try. In other Tlingit, we would say kaka'ap. And here in Tongass, they say kaka'a. Akaya is like kind of it or a facsimile of it. So I'm going to make a try. I'm going to make a facsimile. It's what that comes from. And in the next line, look at lunch quad. This in Northern Tlingit, this would be yan shu quad. So again, the short u of shu gets dropped. But since the following consonant K is a roundable consonant, then it's rounded by the preceding U. So when the U drops out, it's not yanshkade, it's yanshkwade. You see that? Okay. Okay, so let's go down a little. And then here again, puts T. That's adequate T. That's Northern Tlingit adequate T. Yeah. Oh, okay, just a little bit more, and then we'll go on to the Clara Paratovich.
Okay, okay.
Qua te kui khi ai tha quan te sing cha qua te ko te nis ku u sustin te kha yahas ri natis sa so sku ka ta ko quan ki ye yu yesu te astu hi ani ta quan has tan ta quan ani ai
Oh, by the way, let's stop for just a second. Okay. In line 40, let me see, first of all, yeah, in Northern Tlingit be hastu yi on, with yi being long low. But what happens in Tongass, they have an automatic rule that says if a fading syllable comes before a glottal stop, a syllable starting with a glottal stop, like on, starts with a glottal stop, written with a period, then it automatically becomes glottalized. So instead of saying hastu ri on, they just say hastu ri on. So that's another little rule that figures into their dialect.
Yeah, because I can hear it when he says ye. I can hear that he's glottal stopping the vowel.
Yeah.
Ye ani.
And let's play from that line on. If you can't, just go back just a little bit more. I want to hear them. I want them to hear Tantaklan and Tangas.
Okay. Okay.
Tantaklan.
Kha yahas ri natis sa so sku ka ta ko quan ki ye yu yesu te astu hi ani ta quan has tan ta quan ani ai tan gas quan so tu sang hasu ye yu an kona quan adoku kiu tu kan hes asa te kwa na uis ka hasara la hasawuja te na uis ka kiu at kutu
I need to redo those texts. I could see there's a section missing. I'm going to have to go back over this and redo the text. But anyway, what was the one thing?
Tantakwan and Tankas.
Oh yeah, Tantakwan, and then Tankas, Kwan, And notice, by the way, he says Q dutzgan instead of keu dudzigan.
Oh, right here.
And look at line 48. We on keu skan. That would be a Northern Tlingit. We on keu duskani. And by the way, there should be a period between the T and the S there, because that's really T plus S is different in Southern Tlingit than plain old TS. So dus becomes T plus S, not just TS. So that's a mistake in the transcription there.
Oh.
I should redo the transcription. Okay, let's go on then to Claire Bradovich.
Okay.
Now the Hinya dialect is pretty, they have the same business about, well, they don't have the la sound. So that's just plain Y, like it is in our version of Tlingit nowadays. They don't have the stigmatic system. They have that tone system, but it has a third tone. It's got low, high, falling, and low, not just high and low. And then the business about the tone system and what happens with the tones in her dialect. We'll just take a look at it. So let's listen to this little, I have a whole bunch of texts I recorded from her, but I'm not able to locate them. So I just found an old phone call, and we're going to play it for you.
Okay. Okay.
I'm usually speaking Northern Tlingit, and she's speaking her own Tlingit. So you'll hear differences, and you also see that I mark my syllables. My tone is marked differently than her tone. And you'll see as we go along. The name is Guchtlen. Okay. This is back in the day when we actually.
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, Guchtlen Akia.
Yes?
Oh.
Yes.
I want to see your tea.
Oh,
I had to come from the back room.
Oh, von der Geitschki.
Yeah.
I was trying to make it.
I wondered if
I was trying to talk her dialect, so instead of saying von der Geitschki, I said von der Geitschki, which would be the southern. You drop the I of G and you get ch, like that. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
about you.
Yeah. It's a but I had to go on a trip. Hence it Kohatin. Yeah, we Danawaki Sakun Austin Hammond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's good?
The Koik Ekadehwa good. Hako.
Hoe to eat the katege with what tea?
What's that?
The katege with what tea?
The Kutei.
Yeah, the kina tombstone.
Tag, this was the, I don't know what you call it, the years.
Like taken shoe tane. Kocht eat.
let's stop right here.
Okay.
Yeah, Wukecha.
I want to show you something. This kucht ich. At
Mhm.
first, I thought I kept on going like, it sounded like kucht ich, and I'm going like, well, kuch sounds like back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like back. I'm going like, what on earth is teak? Teak sounds like ice or freezing or something.
Huh.
And then I finally realized, I'm going to write it in the chat. This comes from who to eat like that. Oops, no, I didn't write it correctly. Okay, like this. So who plus ka plus do plus eat. This is actually a habitual form. The ka is the conjugation marker of ik, like to invite.
Huh.
And this is the fourth person subject. They invite people, who is the object. Or people invite people, is what it says.
Okay.
But in Northern Turkic, the ka would contract to underline X here. So we would say in Northern Turkic, we would say like that. Oops, I think I got it. Yeah, like that. That's how we'd say it in Northern Turkic. But of course, she is going to drop her under her the vowel of do. So here's what we get. And we don't write D at the end of a syllable. It's a silly rule we have in articulate orthography that we have to write, always write aspirated consonants at the end of syllables. So we have to write a T instead of a D, even though we know Dargon good and well, it's really a D underlyingly. So there we go. It sounds just like anyway.
Yeah.
You can see how that works. That's pretty cool. Okay.
That's very cool.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So over here. So next line. I'm going to back up but just a tiny bit. There we go.
I see. Yeah, Wukecha. That was neat. Well, church just so kachasne. God, like, shit, you are history. Go, okay, what is way at 2D or Katanet. Hat is our take away at 2D or what can get. Well, tapes, pause. Is where Tadia Yanat Hasani Nikta Kakpark to the Katanet like Tapian show higi with a jack pass away.
Oh, ik echa.
Let's stop for just a second.
Okay.
Go back to the description. Okay. Let's now look at that where Clara Paravich is talking here. We tips kawes kwa'u. Now notice that the kwa is low. And the reason for that is that ko, it comes from kwa'u. And well, in this language it says there's certain syllables, prefix syllables starting with aspirated consonants like ka or ku or ka, ku, tu that are low pitched. Apparently the aspiration of the consonant somehow made it become low pitched in this particular Hinya dialect. But if that, so what you have underlyingly is koka'u, koka'u. So the ku is, the first ku is low, pa is not low, and u is low. But you drop out that first u instead of saying koka'u. You just say koka'u. And what happens is the low tone of ku. Now, when you delete the u of koka, the low tone of u just automatically hops over to the following syllable. I mean, to the following vowel. So instead of saying koka or koka, it becomes pa. The tone of ku jumps over and becomes marking on the kla.
Wow.
And likewise in you, katanit in the next line, or kakpa'ap, that one. The ka, the first ka in kakpa'ap, since it starts with an aspirated K, it's marked low. And then the next syllable, ku, it comes from underlying ka, ku, pa, so that the ka and the ku are both low marked, but the u of ku drops out, so that low mark goes to the following vowel. So you get both of those two vowels, prefix vowels, marked low. Ka-ku-ka-up. Ka-ku-ka-up. Oh, by the way, I left out a vowel. It's supposed to be ka-ka-up, not ka-ka-up. I did this kind of quickly. Likewise, same thing, low tone.
Yeah, it's different from what we've learned so far in Northern,
Right.
because we have only done high tones, but we can see here that there's vowels that are marked with a low tone.
And but you can see the default tone in her dialect is basically high. So weight tapes, powes, that's all basically on one pitch level. Weight tapes, powes, top, low, low. Ayis, both high. Way, ta, low. Ayayan, atwasani, nik. So it's just all high unless you get a low marking on the vowel. Yeah. So that in Northern Tlingit, the default pitch level is low. Whereas in Southern Tlingit, the default pitch level is high. That's the big difference between those two dialects.
Wow.
Let's play just a little bit more.
Okay.
Can you say that how she said Yuqatan?
Or they say you no, you
That's it.
like that.
Yeah.
That's why the Northern Tlingit speakers say of the Southern Tlingit speakers, they say, wow, they really have a sing-song accent.
Yeah.
Which is true of Northern Tlingit too, but Northern Tlinkits don't notice it because it just sounds natural.
Yeah.
But when Southern Tlingit speakers do something different, Northern Tlingit speakers say, wow, those Southern Tlingit speakers, they sure sound sing-song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool. My ears are not totally trained yet to hear it, but I can tell even, in my beginning and that I can hear the like low tones and the glottalized vowels.
Yeah, you can hear those glottalized out pretty well in Frank's speech, very well. Do you want to play just a little more? How much time do we have?
Yeah, I definitely do. We still have 15 minutes in class. Yeah.
Copy Corsair where a high a het it is a two of Jean Gated. How Osasakwe Yukatank just Lingit Nachage Atudi Katan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let Kanach Kos Kakshiki Dachjes.
How would you get to the on? Wait.
By the way, notice on Southern Tlingit, you say achjis for me.
Oh.
See that actually, again, it comes from achjis, the I of the first I of chis becomes just it drops out, and so you get chis, and then the Y drops out, and so it just becomes jis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually there. It's just so run together. It's hard to hear the G.
Yeah.
G, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and play some more then.
Okay.
Hajsak kakqaaq. Kakshakidi atahwa H. Well, we'll go over it together, you know. Wa H achidik kidashi.
Wish Chanadayo at the cocktail plane.
Yekshik like a.
Yeah. Like away you Sane. They on taxa diet for
Let's go back over that one line. That one. Yeah, okay. I didn't write the tone right again. I just was trying to do this too fast. It should be K should be low marked, and Kwa should also be low marked because again, like I was telling you, wait, well, I'm not sure if that should be low marked, but anyway, K where ye would sunny. Ye would sunny that in another ticket that would be ye to sunny.
Oh.
But see, the do becomes just plain t, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the to becomes t, just plain t.
Mm-hmm.
And then the u stays in instead of would to ye. In Northern Tlingit, we drop the U of woo. But in Southern Tlingit, they drop the U of do.
Oh. Yeah.
And by the way, because tu has an aspirated consonant, tu, then it's low marked. And then when the U drops out, the low mark goes on to the classifier sa. Again. Remember, like I was telling you before?
Yeah.
If the low tone vowel drops out, then the low tone jumps right.
Yeah. Can I just put this on a slide really quick to show the difference so people could see it in writing? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do an example slide. And we'll do like this, where we have the Hinya dialect. And then this would be the northern would be like like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's
we have to mark the high tones in our Northern Tlingit. That's what we, because that's high tone vowels are marked in Northern. But remember, in Southern Tlingit, it's the low tone vowels that are marked, not the high tone. So you see, that's why the difference in the accentation. Why ye tusane as a high tone, but ye would sane. The ne has the low tone, and the ye doesn't have anything because it's just automatically high. Here's another example we could add to this, okay? Hinya, what's T, Hua, Hua.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
no, underline you, underline K.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hua, no, K underline U, X underline
Okay.
XW, I mean, X underline W, A, T, S, T, E, grab. By the way, you can get that by shift grab.
Okay.
Shift plus that building thing.
Oh, I have to be in the different keyboard. One second.
You have to be in the special character font to get it.
Okay, let me see. Oh yeah. No, since I'm on a piece on Mac, I can find it. One sec.
Yeah. Here we go with the
I got it. One. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another E. And that means I was born. Okay. Okay. And then the northern Tlingit,
Oops, I have to change keyboards again. One sec. Okay.
Put a W after. Yeah, there you go.
I was born.
That's the same thing. Okay. All right. You see the difference. So instead of, first of all, the Z classifier automatically drops the I and becomes written TS because it's at the end of the syllable. But it's really a DZ. I want you guys to know that. It's really a DZ. It's not a TS.
Huh.
But then because that vowel dropped out, then the preceding vowel doesn't drop out. So really what you have in underlying is hu, hua, zi, ti. And in Southern Tlingit, the I of zi drops out, hu, hua, ti. But in Northern Tlingit, the a of hua drops out, hu, zi, ti. So you see how that all balances out?
Yeah. It's like you still get a vowel sound, but it appears in a different spot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's go on a little bit more.
Okay. 417. I'm going to back it up a tiny bit. 410, 48. Here we go.
Ja, Lingit nach ihrer Chatan gehört, Kaya, Kachti, Edik. Where Skanach Lingit nach Dak Achtatane, ja, let Kanach hüt Achatanen, just Lingit near the Linsin.
Okay, let's stop there for
Okay.
Notice that word shwanach.
Shwan.
Yeah, in Northern Tlingit, shukwanach or shukwanach. By the way, how do you say that, Shirley?
Shukwanach.
Shukwanach.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Shirley has a high tone, shukwanach. But notice that that word shu is underlyingly shukwanach, at least for her dialect.
Yeah.
But the u drops out in shu. So again, what it does is it causes the following pinch X to be rounded. So it's written with the W after it. Shwanach, she says. And notice yeah.
Can I put these on a slide too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Northern would, let's see, Hinya Shwanach. Yeah. And then Northern, well, depending on the dialect, no W. just shoot. No. Some people say it with the W. So put a parenthesis and then put a comma, and we'll do SHUX apostrophe, and then put a W in parentheses.
Okay.
Because some people say it with a real rounded W and some rounded Kwa, and some say it with a regular K. And then, but this time put a high tone on Kwa there. Because we get variation between high and low tone Shukwanach and Shukwanach. So anyway, but the main point here is that Shukwa becomes Shkwa in Southern Tlingit. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think the
And that may
natives that have
at first or originally.
Oh yeah.
whatever country?
Okay. Let's go on to the. Oh,
Okay.
by the way, here's another thing. Notice that she always says Tlingitnach and Tletchanach.
Yeah.
She always says that. She never says Tlingitchanach and Tletchanach. I've been telling people that, yeah, there is. I've heard people from coastal and maybe even from interior Tlingit saying Tlingitnach instead of Tlingitchanach. It's just not absolutely necessary to put the che in there.
Wow.
At least it wasn't in, in the old days. Nowadays, everyone has gone to chenach, but
Yeah.
just be aware that you'll hear in the tapes, you'll hear people saying Tlingitnach and Tletchanach, and you should know what it means.
I think I heard my mom and my aunt talking.
Yeah. And where were they from?
My mom's Chilkat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my aunt was Chuka from, I don't know, I think she was.
Oh, Isikuke Koneote, Nellie Willard.
So yeah, those.
Yeah, what Shukwanach Ia to Singit Henach away with some question. Jesus away. Hakanikin.
Wasiku.
Who Joe Kawedak to Skayu to Sago Asha what? To in to Honey 18 what can I shoot with Jack? A Joe Chatago to the I was talking when you teach. Wish I would cause to scar you to sag when marry somebody. To scar out doch na has to ya has wasaya weha to say. Doch na has chit hat kwan kwati.
Oh. Shakuti.
Okay, let's listen a little more then.
Okay, we have 3 minutes left.
Okay.
We'll do a little more.
Uh-huh.
Okay, here we go.
Tayo to danke. Where ich kida shawat. Friendly city. Where our cook, you could we tape cardi or tan put a kawaha where let Hannah a 2 day do a patane. Yeah, then get nach hotel kusiach just a day of a hatanke. I would let Hannah. Yeah, she couldn't have nigga coach or put it it loses its concept, in other words.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're just talking about the strategy. I still am going to write up her stories and I want to publish them. It's going to take a while though. But we were talking about how this was going to be accomplished. She didn't like the idea of translating what she said into English. She thought maybe she wanted an elegant translation, not, something that sounded kind of hokey. So she wanted something that sounded elegant in English. She knew it was going to sound elegant in Tlingit, but she wanted it to sound elegant in English as well. Do we have any questions before we go bye-bye here?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but Clara was in Mount Edgecombe when I was there. Yeah.
Clara?
Years ago.
Oh, you met her then?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. She was such a neat lady. Wow. Yeah.
This is Cheryl Demert Fairbanks, and I knew her too.
Yeah. I was going to make a small pot. Unfortunately, she grew up. She was in smokehouses a lot when she was young, and that's what compromised her lungs. She told me. So she was on oxygen the last time I saw her, and she was telling me all these stories. She didn't have long to live after that, unfortunately.
This is Cheryl. I knew Clara. She lived across my grandparents. And I just wanted to say Gunash Chish for bringing in the Hina Kwan dialect. Gunash Chish. It so warms my heart.
Yeah. Gunash Chish. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. I really want to just get all of those stories transcribed and put out there. It's been too long.
Can you say Tongass in Tlingit again?
Tongass.
Tongass. Okay. Okay.
Cheese.
Mike.
Esther Shea, Lake Kakena. Tasha, you do us off, but my dad's mother, I really appreciate you for sharing and hearing some of the language that we haven't heard for a long time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that.
Any more questions or comments from the class?
After church?
Kunachuk e sau tua ahi kunal shi jenei ka kunal chish ha in ya kwan ka tan ta kwan you ka tangida.
Yeah. Yek yaksatini. Yek takati one takati yaksaku.
Gunash Chish ha iti the city.
Well, it's a Gunash Chish, surely. All right. Well,
this is really awesome. If we have more questions, can we email them to you?
Yeah. Yeah, and you could, if you like, you could play more of, especially the Tongass text, and just sort of look at it yourselves if you like, or more of that phone call with Clara.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put these in the chat for folks so they can study them at home, and then we can continue to do this in class as well.
Yeah, great. Okay, Gunash Chish, iko ayah pan takativan.
Gunash Chish.
Gunash Chish.
Cheers.
Sheesh. Across the team.
Igawayachan.